This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We are continuing in Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. Again, we're in Siman Aleph, Sif Daled. Siman Aleph, Sif Daled. Toiv ma'at tachanunim bekavana meharba b'lei kavana. Better few supplications with kavana than many without kavana. So again, let's try to understand what's the hemshech hadvarim in the mechaber. Why all of a sudden is the mechaber telling us better to say few? So who said tachnunim andachar shmei? Who said anything about tachnunim? We're talking about getting up in the morning. So I think the way we're learning the Shulchan Aruch over here, I hope it's correct. I have to tell you that this is not the first time I'm learning Siman Aleph, but I will tell you it's the first time that I had any understanding of the hemshech of the Seifim in Siman Aleph. So it's like this. Sif Aleph talks about getting up in the morning like a lion. Then Sif Beis tells you that there are specific times in the night that are opportune, that are ratzoi to get up, because tefillos for the Churban will be accepted. And then Sif Gimel is explaining, why is davening for the Churban Beis Hamikdash so important? Because this is an Iker and Avodas Hashem. Yirei Shamayim should always be Meitzer V'doyeg. So if you're always Meitzer V'doyeg, you're going to schedule your wake up based upon when your tefillos for the Churban will be accepted. Now, again, the Mechaber didn't tell you to say Tikkun Chatzos, but if in Sif Beis he's telling you to get up at a certain time because the tefillos for the Churban will be accepted, then implicit in that is that part of your get up in the middle of the night is you're going to be davening for the Churban Beis Hamikdash. So in Sif Dalet he tells you, by the way, a short tefillah with kavana is greater, is more powerful than a longer tefillah without kavana. Says the Mishna Berura Sif Katan Yud Beis, Beloi kavana. Aval im hamarba kivein gamken. Yeah, but what about the guy who's davening more and he's also having kavana? Then hamarba tov yosa. Obviously, a lot with kavana is better than a little with kavana. V'im hamemayit yesh layoines. Meaning the Chavetz Chaim is not saying, Chavetz Chaim is saying the Mechaber is not telling you to do less. He's telling you if it's a choice between less with kavana and more without, less kavana is better. But it's not that less with kavana is better than more with kavana. Avada, you should do more with kavana. It's talking that if the mamayit has extenuating circumstance, he can't be marach, or he estimates he won't be able to have so much kavana. Then nechshav lefnei Hashem yisbarach, he is evaluated and considered before Hashem like the guy who had time umarach betachnunim bekavana and is marach in his supplications with kavana. Shaninu. And regarding this, we learned echad hamarba ve'echad hamamit uvelvad she'ichavein liboy l'shamayim. As long as your kavana is l'shamayim. But says the Chavetz Chaim v'chein l'inyan Talmud Torah inyan ken. The same thing is regarding Talmud Torah. In other words, let's say a person has a choice. They could learn Dershu, they could learn a page a day, or they could learn a half a page a day. So it's like this. If by learning a half a page a day you'll understand it better, avada, you have to learn a half a page a day. But if you're shortchanging yourself, you could learn 2 pages a day by kavan. If you say, I'm going to join Shana Halachas because it's easier, then you can't do that. In other words, your person has to know. But it's always better to do less with kavana if you're going to end up having more kavana, both in davening and in learning. Because it's all dependent on if you're doing everything you can. Umishu bal Torah, someone who's a lamdin, someone who has the ability to learn. V'yesh lo leiv lahavin, he has the capacity to understand things. V'lilmoid, and to really learn thoroughly. Yachal limnoya miloymar harbe tchinos ubakashos hanetfasos b'sidurim. He doesn't have to say all the various supplications that are printed in the siddur. What does that refer to? I mean, you have to say the whole Psukei de Zimra, but you don't have to say Parshas Hayira, Parshas Hatshuva, maybe even, not clear if the Chavetz Chaim is applying it even to Sif Hey, namely, let's say the Akedah, or Asar Sadibrois, or Parsha, or the other Parshas. I would assume he is. In other words, I would assume even the things that the Mechaber says are toiv to say, but if somebody is capable of learning in a thorough way and with profound understanding, it's better to learn than to say all of these various bakashos. V'tov yoser sheyomai b'mekaymam. V'tzarech ha'adam likvaya aloi eis lilmoid sifrei musar b'chol yom v'yom. A person is required to set aside time to learn works of musar every single day, im ma'at v'im harbe, whether a little bit or a lot. Kasha. Where's Rabbi Yeager? Because I have a raya what the Mishnah Berura meant before. The Sharatzion has a kasha. But we said before, Mishnayos is the most important thing. So the Sharatzion says, no, it's even more important than Mishnayos. What do you mean? I thought Mishnayos is only important at 4 a.m. Nobody said anything. What's the Sharatzion saying? It's even more than Mishnayos. Nobody said anything about Mishnah. Who said anything about Mishnayos? That was talking about 4 a.m. Musar, now we're talking about the whole day. So it seems like when I would say when the Mishnah Berura brought earlier, Mishnayos takes precedence over everything, it means any time. Meaning in general, if you have 10 minutes a day to learn, the Mishnah Berura says you should learn Mishnah. And here he's saying, but you have to learn Musar every day, and if you only have 5 minutes the whole day, you're going to learn Musar, you're going to drop the Mishnah. Anyway, it could be you could push that off. Maybe the Sharatzion is just saying in general, we know Mishnayos is important, and Musar even takes precedence over that. Okay, I would say the other way. Ki hagadol mechavero yitzroi gadol himeno. The greater you are, the greater your Yetzer Hara. V'tavlin ha-Yetzer Hara hu toichachas mamorei Chazal. And the medication for the Yetzer Hara is the rebuke of Chazal. So here, the Mishnah Berura is paskening halacha lamaisa. It has emanated from the Lishkas Hagazis that a person is obligated to learn take some dose of Musar every single day. Sifhei, Toiv loymar parshas ha'akeda. It is good to say the parsha of the Akeda, uparshas Haman, v'aseres hadibrois, uparshas oila. Now, what's interesting to me is in none of the Siddurim do you have the parsha of the oila. Where do you have the parsha of the oila in the Siddur? Umincha, ushlamim, v'chatas, v'asham. By the way, these parshas do not really appear in the regular Siddur. The karbanos that we have Ezehu Makaiman, we have Abaye, we have Masader, we have the Parshas HaTamid, but we don't really have these Parshas, and perhaps next time we'll read the Bir Halacha, where these Parshas are located. Ushlamim, V'chatas, V'asham, and says the Rama, Haga, V'davka b'yachid mutter loymer aseres hadibros. When we say it's good to say the aseres hadibros, you can only do it privately. B'chayim. Aval asur la'amram b'tzibur, is prohibited to say the aseres hadibros b'tzibur. Says the Mishnah Berura, Sivkatan Yud Gimel, Parshas ha'akeda, Koidem Parshas ha'karbanos. Before you say the Parsha of Karbanos. That comes from the Ber Heitev. Now, interesting, if you look in the Malbim explains that Karbanos really only work because of the Akedah. Because what's the process of a karban? A person says that I would give the body of the animals in lieu of my animal, and I am being makriv my nefesh. Rabbi, give me a break. You would really be makriv your nefesh? Who said you would do such a thing? Through the Akedah, Yitzchak established that yes, a Jew would be makriv his nefesh. And therefore, the Akedah allows karbanos to work. Without the Akedah, the process of karbanos would not work. You could say the Akedah and the man even on Shabbos. It's not enough just to say it. You should contemplate what you're saying. And recognize the wonders of Hashem. V'chein masha amru b'gemara. Likewise, when the Gemara says in Brachas Daf Dalet Amud Beis, Kol ha'omer tilo David shalosh pam b'chol yom, anyone who says Ashrei 3 times a day, muftach shu ben olam haba, he's vouchsafed to be a ben olam haba. Gam kein ba'ofen zeh. It's also referring to not just someone who rattles off Ashrei 3 times a day, but one who is mizboinein of the wonders of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'tam la'amiras kol zeh. What's the reason for saying all these things? Again, I don't know that it's definitive that when the Mishnah Berura said earlier that someone who's able to learn, he's better to learn than to say the bakashos and tchinos printed in the Siddurim. It's not clear. I don't know that we could say that these amirois are called tchinois and bakashos, but nevertheless, what's the reason for these amirois? Parshas Akeda kidei lizkar zechus avos v'choyam, to remember the merit of our forefathers daily. V'gam kidei lahachnia yitzroi, and also to subdue the Yetzer Hara. K'may shemasar Yitzchak nafshay, just like Yitzchak gave up his soul. Uparshas Haman, the purpose of the Parshas Haman, kidei sheyamin, in order to believe, shekam zaynoisav ba'in b'hashgacha pratis, that one's livelihood comes with specific divine guidance, ukidachsiv, like it says by the man, hamarbel loy ha'adif v'hamamit loy hechser. One who gathered more did not have more. One who had less, gathered less, did not have less. Lahoiro is to teach she'ein riboy ha'hishtadlos moyal mu'uma. Extra effort to make parnasa does not help at all. In other words, once a person meets the threshold of hishtadlos, extra hishtadlus will not earn a person more money. V'yisub Yushalmi in brachos, kala oimer parshas Haman, anyone who says the parsha of Haman, muftach loy shaloi yismatu mezaynosav, he is vouchsafed that his mezaynos will not be mitigated. So there's a haftacha. Nothing to do with the Wednesday of Parshas B'Shalach, the special day. No, it's stam halacha in general. It's a good thing to say the parsha of the man, and someone who says it again with this kavana, that with the belief that a person's parnasa comes b'hashgacha pratis, and that riboy hishtadlus eino moyel me'uma, he's guaranteed that his mezonos will not be mitigated. V'asaras hadibros kedei sheyizkar b'chol yom maimed har Sinai, in order to remember every day maimed har Sinai, v'yischazek emunasai b'Hashem, and strengthen his emunah in Hashem. Now we know that remembering maimed har Sinai is one of the required zechiros to remember every day. The Ramban learns it's one of the 613 mitzvahs. Interestingly, the Magen Avram, I believe in Siman Samach, brings from the Ksavim of the Arizal that we remember Maimed Har Sinai every day in Ahava Rabbah when we say V'kerav Tanu Malkeinu L'Shimcha Hagadol. That is the designated spot. So in other words, even if a person doesn't say the Aseres HaDibros, you can still be Mekayim, the inyan of remembering Maimed Har Sinai, in what we say already, namely, V'kerav Tanu Malkeinu L'Shimcha Hagadol Sela. U'Parshas HaKarbanos, Da'amrinim B'Menachos, Zois Teiras HaChatos, Kol HaOisek, B'Teiras Chatos, Kilu Hikrav Chatos. Anyone who is involved in the laws of the Chatos, it's as if they brought a Karm Chatos. Ushlamim, and not only that, Vuadin Parshas Toida, Degam Hi B'Chlal Shlamim. And after Oila and Shlomim and Toida, you should say the parsha of Nesachim, Ki ein zevach beloy Nesachim. Again, if you look in our Sidurim, we do not have the parshios of Karbanis. In most Sidurim, you don't have the parsha of Karbanis. You have the Kiyar, and you have the Tamid, and you have the Ketairas, but you don't have the parshios of Oila Chatas. And we'll see tomorrow in the Bir Halacha regarding what these parshios are. And he says you should say the parsha of Nesachim because you can't bring Zevach without Nesachim. And the Chatas and Asham ain't Tom Nesachim. One more Mishna Berura, the Chatas. Ayin b'Magen Avram. Look in the Magen Avram Shekasav. The im yoideya sheneschayev Chatas, yoimer parshas Chatas koidem. If you know that you're chayev Chatas, you should say Chatas before you say Oila mincha shlamim Chatas and Asham. I would say, if you know you're chayev Chatas, and you don't say any of these things ever, maybe that day it's worthwhile to say the parsha of the Chatas. Umidivri shar poskom el mashma came from other poskom, not mashma, that if you're chayev Chatas, you should say the parsha of Chatas first. Okay, we'll hold it over here. Tomorrow, let's shoot for 10:30. I don't know where I'm going to be, so let's shoot for that time. And we'll do Tuesday and Wednesday. And if anybody wants later today at 11:30, for those who are following in the Sefer Shana Halachos, we're going to have a short share on Shana Halachos. Legabe, we'll discuss the inyan of Al Nares Bavel and Shir Hamalis. Okay, Agut Tamoy, thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day. Kol Tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.